Welcome to this episode of The Saiyan Scientist. It's not really going to be a full episode. I'm not building any projects from scratch, but I still think I'll upload it because it could be interesting. This is the new Hubsan X4 H107D Plus model, and it's got 720p video recording and transmission to the remote, 520 I believe or 530 milliamp hour lithium polymer battery, and it's 5.8 gigahertz of course. It was just over $200, and while it works fine, it looks atrocious. So I'm going to be designing and 3D printing a new body, like a new case for this, and I've also ordered some upgrade batteries for it, so hopefully we can get a bit longer flight times, and it'll be a bit lighter as well, because this case is actually pretty heavy, as well as that's not even broken. That is just the amount of twist you get because the case is so weak. So in this case, I think injection molded, I'll be honest, crap. So I'm going to 3D print a new case of this, and it should be a lot stronger. I've 3D printed stuff this size in the past, and it's worked fine, been quite strong. So I'll get to it. Oh, I've also actually already installed these little metal joysticks. I've cut off the old plastic ones and screwed these ones on, because that gives me a bit better grip, and it also just looks cooler, makes it look a little bit more legit. Plastic ones it came with were just atrocious and just sad. So yeah, I'll get to work. Well, the quad's finished and it works very nicely, I might say. Had a few issues with building it. It was very difficult to get all the electronics to fit properly. This is a very, very thin body compared to the old one. You can see the old one was, oh, I haven't measured it, but I'd have to say at least 3 or 4 centimeters thick. This one is exactly 1 centimeter thick. Most of the shell is 0.5 millimeters, and in some places where I thought it was it needed to be a little bit stronger, I made it 1 millimeter thick. I printed it hollow at 0% infill, and everything seemed to work out nicely. That kept it nice and light. All the propellers move freely, they're not hitting anything, and I've got the antenna snugly seated, pointing down, and it's vertical now. On the old one it was, on this one, you can see it had to be horizontal along the bottom, which meant that every time you turned any way that wasn't directly pointed away from the remote, you'd get a lot of fuzz on the remote, or the signal would cut out completely. But with this one, up until about its max range, it seems to be consistent no matter what direction you're facing, which is convenient. The only issue I've had with this is if you go behind the remote, it seems to get a bit fuzzy, but that is because it's a single direction. It's got the antenna that's built into the remote is a cloverleaf antenna, but it has a reflector on it. So it's a little dish on the back of it, little metal plate, and that just sort of focuses the signal in a single direction, which makes it pick up the signal much better from that specific direction. But unfortunately it means that if anything goes behind that dish, or that plate, it cuts out the signal pretty much completely. Apart from that, it gets pretty hot when it's flying, but it used to get even hotter in this one. It's actually got better air, ventilation, air circulation in this one, and in this one there's a bunch of tiny holes which actually didn't really do much. And it's a lot stronger than the old one. I could probably snap that off, but I'm not going to try. But yeah, again, this thing just has a stupid amount of flex. It's just kind of sad. I think I understand what they were going for with this design, but they did not hit their goal. They missed so far. Yeah, that was just sad. So anyway, this one works nicely. It looks quite snazzy, if I may say so myself. And I've got 6 batteries that I ordered online here. Now the original one that came with this was 520 milliamp hours, and I got about a minute of flight time out of it. These are only 500 milliamp hours, but I get about 3 or 4 minutes of flight time. Now, compared to some other small drones this size, that's not very long. Some you get 10 minutes or even longer flight times, but with this one, you've got to remember how much power is being drawn from the battery. You've got these 4 motors which are larger than the motors you get in other drones. Even Hubsan drones, most of them even have smaller motors than this one. And also, it's running a 720p camera and live transmission, so there's a lot of power being drawn from this battery. To get it running, you sit the battery in snugly there, it's held in with the elastic I've glued to the bottom. It's a piece of elastic ribbon. Decided to get rid of Velcro because that was my original idea, but that was a horrible idea. The positive faces inwards, and I've made this little pin here. You can't actually buy these. I actually just made this one out of a standard 3-pin connector for a servo. And these 2 pins here are the correct distance apart from each other. They will fit any plug for any 3.7 volt 1-cell LiPo that you can buy. So I can just put any battery that is about this right size, that's 3.7 volt 1-cell, and it'll work. But to get it working, plug it in and press this button on the side here down for a few seconds, and it'll light up those lights progressively, and then they'll flash, trying to bind to the remote. Now, I'm not actually going to power it up. There's not really much point. I can't fly it in here because there's too much stuff around. There's a lot of wires and cables everywhere, so I'll shut this down, and it looks cool doing that too. But those lights will flash in different combinations. The middle 2 will flash slowly when it's recording, very, very fast when it's out of battery. The lights will turn on and off across in sort of waves when it's trying to calibrate, and they'll all be solid when it's calibrated, not recording on the ground, etc, etc. The 2 outside ones will blink when it's waiting for the remote, and so on. I've still made it so that you can have access to the port here for downloading and uploading files, and I have an 8GB micro SD built into this now. Now with the old one you could take it out and swap it out for new ones, but I found that kind of pointless because with this I get about I think a little over 2.5 hours of recording time, and seeing as each battery lasts 3 to 4 minutes, you're not going to max that out. I mean, unless you're trying to just store them on the drone, which is pointless because unfortunately with the circuitry, or with the board from the H107D Plus model, you can't actually view recorded files on the remote. Or I can't at least. I don't know if I've got a faulty controller or something, but with the old one, because it's saved to the chip in the remote, you could actually record, then turn off the drone, and then view the video on the remote. But with this one, you can't seem to do that. You have to upload it to a computer to view the footage, which isn't exactly difficult. It takes about 30 seconds, especially because the files aren't that big. They're not very long videos. Now, this drone is amazingly tiny. I mean, it is really cool that this tech can be made so small. I mean, this thing is exactly 8 centimeters from motor to motor, and from prop to prop, it is just under 24 centimeters. Nope, I'm a moron, just under 14 centimeters. So, this thing, you could probably fly it through a PVC pipe if you had the skill. I mean, it's absolutely tiny. You could fly this through drain pipes, overfill pipes. You could easily go searching down if you put some LEDs on the front, but that would be stupid because you can't get it back if you crash. But the possibility is there, and weaving between trees should be fairly easy with this. Again, it's so light, it would be pretty much impossible to break it just from crashing into stuff, or even just like dropping it out of the sky. It probably wouldn't get damaged. Can't say as much for this case, but I'll be honest, I was testing this a bit back and I already have crashed it a few times. Let me know if you think there's any improvements or upgrades that I could make to this. If maybe you have one of these drones. If you have any questions, yeah, leave them in the comments. And that's about it for this week. The quote for this week is, "Beer is made of hops, and hops are plants. Therefore, beer is soured. You're welcome." So yeah, I'll take this down to the park and fly it around a bit, see what it can do, make sure everything works properly, and I'll cut to that now.